What's going on, everybody? This Afro Think Tank. Young black woman explains why white men are interested in PDF file like activities and why they are more interested in elementary school, middle school, and high school than they are, full adults, right? And I'm trying to be tactical here, right? Because it's a touchy subject. But I think if you guys think about it and just think about this like a Discovery Channel type of way, right? We're gonna be a Discovery Channel learning environment when talking about this, right? If you notice, white culture, that one of the things that they always promote, like far as something they want to fix, is aging, right? How they all, and white women are always trying to chase youthfulness, fountain of youth, to look young, to look youthful, right? And we all know, because of the genetics of Europeans, their youthfulness, right, tends to expire very quickly. So, compared to other groups who youthfulness continues on into the later age, especially with black folks who youthfulness continues, goddamn, almost to the 50s. Like black women can make it to their 50s and still look supple and youthful, like a fresh fruit plucked off of a tree, right? And in the European societies, the fresh fruit that's plucked off the tree tends to rot very quickly, right? And then when the white man compares that to other women, they see that their women, spoil like milk. You know all the phrases, right? And we know that white women have a insecurity about this because, they do in fact age very quickly, right? And they're like a lot of women I know all black folks, we all do this, right? We'll look at a white person on TV or in real life, and we'll swear up and down that they're much older than us, right? And then when they tell us their age, we'll be like, God damn, what? Like, I swear, I don't know how many 30-something-year-old white folks I done talked to who I thought swore up and down was in their 50s. Like, I would have put all my money on it. They was in their 50s, right? But they be in their 30s, some of them times in their late 20s. And it's shocking, right? So a white man, men like youthfulness. Men like, young. It's just what it is. It's just natural. Everybody likes a woman at their peak. And women are usually at their peak when they're looking young and supple, right? Because that means you can procreate, right? And usually it translates because black women tend to be able to procreate naturally, when not admired by chemicals and viruses and, in the food. When we're in our natural habitat, we tend to stay youthful a lot longer and be able to produce a lot longer, right? Well, whites, not only are the women not, staying supple or, staying like fresh fruit, but, society has made it so when that white woman is at her peak, she's not interested in procreating, right? And she's not interested in settling down or, being a trophy to a white man, right? So because of that, white men tend to look for a woman who is easier to manipulate, right? Younger, gray mattered, if you know what I mean, gray mattered, and they have the aesthetics, of a smaller, plus also a younger framed woman will also, even if they are it's consensual, because a lot of younger women are very, consensual when it comes to older men. It's been like that since 99.99% of human history. So not really out of the realms of, normalcy, but in modern day times, not normal, right? But white men have always wanted to start relatively young, 13, 14, hell, 99.99% of human history, age 13, 14, you get married, right? That goes for a lot of cultures, right? Getting married. But in European culture, it's always been the 30-year-old man getting with the 14-year-old girl, right? White women were passed along like tools. So most of European history, children were used as like slaves or tools or political, political tools, whatnot. So, in a man, it will take him a while to establish himself. You know, if he does his military service, obligatory military service, and by the time he's doing all that, he's 25, 26, right? 30, 31, 32, 35, 40, right? He goes and gets him a woman who he believes will be able to bear him many children. So, women start, you know, coming into their womanhood, you know, when they get on that cycle around 13, 14, and that's when they're married off, right? So, white Europeans know that the most supple white European woman starts at 14, 13, where they have their youthfulness. And then by the time they hit about 25, 26, they look about 50, right? So that's what you notice. Europeans like to start young. And the aesthetics of what they believe to be attractive is starting very young. And they can't help but to be attracted to children, right? They can't help it, right? It's what, you know, what it is. It's like that in the Middle East too, a lot of Asian countries, a lot of places in Africa. It's like, I mean, this is like that, but in European societies, the mode of society has been old, middle age, or older adult man with child, right? And then if you're the husband of that child, right, you would be raising your wife. Your wife will listen to you like a father, right? You would be God king to that wife. You see how the dynamic set up? And that's kind of how they want women to act now. Right? In African societies, we held a lot more respect for our women as our cultures advanced, because we had barbaric times where we treat our women like shit, right? But because we're humans and we've been here longer, we got to the point to where our women were being treated equal. They had their equal roles within community, and we knew what a child was, right? We understood what a child was and what an adult was, you know, and that made us different, right? That's why we're not so prevalent with this PDF file activities, even though we do have those amongst us, but just not at the commercial cultural level as Europeans. But yeah, this woman, she's about to break it down, and we're gonna talk about this in an educational, non-threatening way. But truth's the truth, and we just gotta start accepting that people act a certain way because they're conditioned, because of their culture, you know, and their environment as well, you know, and the combination of the two. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Pedophilia is so prevalent in the white culture because white men don't truly get to experience maturity and youthful attractiveness in one. And this is actually where the concept that women expire after their late 20s comes from. Because in these men's experience, they quite literally do experience that. It's not made up. It's just laughable if you're a man that comes from more of an ethnic culture. And the reason is because biologically, the DNA is quite literally structured differently for ethnic people and non-ethnic people, okay? So the lack of melanin, not going to explain the science behind that, means that these people are more susceptible to aging in the natural environment that everybody else is experiencing, okay? Sun is dangerous for you. Goddamn wind is dangerous for you. Not saying that anything can't be dangerous at a high quantity, but these are things that you shouldn't have these strong of effects from. Yet they do, because it's not natural for them to be existing in these habitats. And so as a result, you will see the aging of their women is significantly different than the aging of ethnic women. By the time a white woman becomes, 24 to 27, she no longer even has the same face structure as when she was 21, 2019, okay? Notice how I'm not saying that her features have aged. Everybody's features begin to age. Her face structuring is completely different. So in order to try to visualize this, think about when someone's like 67 years old, right? 60, 70 years old, and take back when they were about 25. The reason why they look different is not just because their features age, but because their face structuring actually began to change. The way their jaw structure held, the way their cheeks bones held, everything about it, right? And so you will begin to see this structural change in them when they're just in their mid-20s. Okay, and by the time they become 30, they have had structural changes in their face and in their body. Not necessarily just aging, but literal structural changes. And so what this means is by the time the average white man has even become accomplished, affluent, or has any type of status to indulge in the type of woman that he wants to indulge in, all the women around him literally look raggedy from his perception. Now, I'm not saying that they are raggedy. I'm saying from his perception, his vantage point, they look raggedy because the women who he was just trying to get 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago that were on his peer level, they look absolutely nothing like how the fuck they looked even a couple of years ago, okay? And this is not necessarily true for ethnic women. So in this culture, that means these men are constantly getting signaled and aroused sexually by something that does not actually exist in a mature form for them. So what's happening is their brain is constantly oscillating between having a moral compass and foregoing what they want fully in a woman, which would be a certain youthfulness, right? Or they just throw the fucking moral compass all the way out the window and they decide to indulge in what they want, which is the youthfulness. But it should be understood that unless that man came from money, came from status, came from something from a young age, the way that society is structured, white men have never truly been able to enjoy maturity on their level and youthfulness. And you keep compounding this over generations, hundreds of years, and that quite literally gets encoded in your epigenetics. Okay? It's the same thing of if you look back into ancient civilizations that led into like Roman empires and this and that, right? That led to churches. And something that you will find in that history is that because they used sexual assault so heavily against boys to try to control them socially and model them socially and get them to behave a certain way, you now have a certain aggressive sexual behavior that is imprinted in their DNA.
Woolly mammoth and a mastodon. Hey, what's the difference? Prove me wrong. I get it. One is woolly and the other one is snot. Hey, woolly mammoth and a mastodon. Hey.
Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.